What can the reader of 2 Chronicles find that is of essence? This book of 2 Chronicles records the history of the southern kingdom of Judah, from the time of the reign of Solomon to the conclusion of the Babylonian exile. Its decline is very disappointing, but the emphasis of the writer is on the spiritual reformers who zealously seek to turn the people back to God. The northern kingdom of Israel is rarely mentioned. For in spite of the destruction of the temple, the book calls the worshipper to do well in their worship in the present and to finish strong, believing. So 2 Chronicles is a cycle of righteousness, decay, repentance or turning back to God, and miraculous restoration by God. Here are some of the elements that it majors on. The temple of God. The temple of God was the glory of Israel in a lot of ways, but this temple built by Solomon was built with plans God gave to his father David. Solomon was assigned to this glorious task before his birth. This highlights that all of our life's opportunities and ministry is of grace and grace alone. Then the book moves on to quickly refer to types of worshippers. And there's one type, like the Levites, who when everything crumbles, suddenly they kind of switch on to a preservation mode. Once the kingdom split under the rule of Rehoboam, Solomon's son, the Levites from all over Israel sided with Rehoboam and flocked to Jerusalem to continue their priestly duties, almost pretending that nothing happens. Then there's another type. Some kings were completely rebellious. As soon as something went wrong and the glory of the kingdom was disappearing, they dismissed that God was ever real to their people and relevant, and that God's law was important to them and relevant to their lives. Therefore, they led their people into sinful or independent behaviors. There were some other kings, worshippers, such as Solomon, who started off well, wanting to go on with God through thick and thin. But they fell away and came to a sad end. There are others mentioned in this book who strayed immediately, who were totally overwhelmed by the decay. But they realized that they heading the wrong direction and they repented or turned around, such as Manasseh. And God happily restored them. And there was a minority of rulers who typify other worshippers, such as Hezekiah and Josiah, who honored God all their life. And in turn they were honored with the epitaph that they did right in the sight of the Lord. And they depict the people who are consistent in their worship. So in short, this book tells us that we have an opportunity to attract favor even in tough times, when God doesn't seem to be there. And that God is never a cruel, angry God, not ready to punish, but ever ready to restore those who turn their lives' focus on Him, ready to favor and to bless. The call of this book is to travel well and to finish strong, believing, in spite of even our weak beginnings or our poor heritage. For history really tells us that God was gracious in the past, that He was faithful and very real to our forefathers, And we do not need to change our values and our life's focus. And by no means should we give up or stop trusting Him.